How are
Will,
you?
I'm doing good. We're joined in reality check with Kioa Reyes, who is my nephew-in-law, married to Blair Wells Reyes, and probably one of the most interesting guys in the family, I would say.
A lot different, that's for sure.
I mean that in a good way.
Right.
You bring a lot of life to the party, so to speak. So.
Try my best.
So I've worked on a series of questions that are just for you.
Okay.
But to start out with, the things that interest me the most, there's one here. I'm going to share the screen here. I could do this in post too, but I want to just see if this will work. All right. Can you see that?
Yeah.
So tell me about Lost Tribe Dance.
Yeah. So Lost Tribe Dance is one of my businesses. It's actually my main source of income. It's a hip hop dance studio, and we are located in Rexburg, Idaho, and Idaho Falls, Idaho. And we just get students from the ages of 4 to 18. So obviously a lot of younger kids. We do have college crews kind of here and there. It's fun. It's a passion that I have for dance, and I also have a passion for business. So when you get to mix both, it becomes really fun. I mean, I'm one of the, 5% that enjoy Mondays, because I enjoy going back to work. And I don't think everyone can do it. Yeah, you got to have a passion for dance for sure. But if you don't have a passion for business, this can be a tricky thing to get into. But I love business. I love looking at the numbers. I love trying to increase my enrollment. I love working with the instructors that I do have at my studio. I love working with parents. So it's really fun to jump into this business that I call the Lost Tribe Dance.
Very cool. Yeah, and I've seen a little bit of your dancing. Haven't seen a lot of it, but some online, and then whatever stuff that we've done as that I've seen you do at family events and whatnot. But for those of you who are not familiar with Kioa's work, there will be a link down below in YouTube. And if you're watching this on Facebook, there'll be a link in the Facebook post as well, so you can go and check that out. You won't be sorry that you did. And if you live close enough, I'm sure Kioa would love to teach you or your kids how to dance. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Now, what I understand is you have a very specific style of dance that you teach. Right. You don't try to be all things to all people. You're trying to teach one style of dance. That's cool.
Yeah, very specific. So we teach hip hop, something that isn't very big in this area. And it's something I want to bring to this area. A little bit of culture, a little bit of the hip hop culture. And it's super fun to see the community kind of accept us and understand that hip hop isn't all the negative things you see on social media or the media, and that your kids can still learn a lot of things from hip hop dance other than just moves.
Cool. So we're going to be talking to Kioa about his dreams, his hopes, his fears, his expectations, things that maybe didn't go the way he thought, other things that went better than he thought. We're going to be asking him a lot of questions. So I wanted to make sure that we at least talked about the Lost Tribe, because I think that's pretty cool. But the other thing that I wanted to talk about, and I really love this, I've been going through some of what you've done here, is your podcasts for the Imperfect Dad, which I think is a fantastic project that you're doing. And once again, when you get to this section of the video, for those of you who don't know Kioa, we'll put a link for the Imperfect Dad, the podcast links that you can go to see that, as well as the website that is associated with the Imperfect Dad. So I was really curious, though. I did not know until watching the Imperfect Dad that you were actually born in South Korea.
Yeah. Dad was in the military. He was stationed in South Korea, and that's where I was born. So
yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But Hawaii is your claimed home, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And what island in Hawaii?
So I'm from Oahu, and
Mm-hmm.
both my parents are from the island of Molokai.
Molokai. Is
Yep.
that right? Molokai?
Yeah, Molokai.
I say it like a haole, but okay, cool. And then you were 16, am I correct, when you moved to Washington State?
Yep, that's correct.
And now you live in the widest part of Idaho. Actually, not probably with the college. It's probably not the widest part of Idaho, right?
No, I think if we're talking whitest, you're probably looking at northern Idaho.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The Panhandle. Yeah.
Yep, the place I am sometimes scared to get out of my car at.
Do you get spooked up there? Really?
I do. And I heard it's not too crazy right now, honestly.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're looking maybe 7, 8, 10 years ago. I mean, they had their own compound, and that doesn't scare you. I don't know what does.
Yeah, I guess there are whack jobs everywhere. But I think, of course, I'm white, so, but I don't even believe, I was in Washington, D.C. one time walking around late at night and had a couple of black park policemen that approached me and said, "Hey, you need to get out of it." I was like, why? It was like thumping. It's like Las Vegas. It's just all night long, the energy's going, and I couldn't go to sleep. And so I'm out on the mall walking around, just checking things out, and they warned me off. But I don't know that I've ever felt scared racially. Even on my mission, I was in Mississippi and served a lot in black areas of towns. And, there's a couple times it seemed maybe a little bit iffy, but I've just never felt fear like that before. I know it's real. Don't get me wrong. I know it's real, but I do think sometimes the media has made more of that than really is. They want everybody to be scared and to be separated, but so
well, it's funny you mentioned that, because I have an uncle who he later moved to Spokane, but he was living in Pocatello at the time. Mm-hmm. And he was a cop with the Fort Hall res down here in the Blackfoot area. And when I first came up here to school, he mentioned to me to never drive the northern way. Really? Yeah. And that kind of spooked me, right? Beyond the media. Honestly, I wouldn't have known better until he told me, and I was like, all right, we are driving the southern Idaho way, the boring way.
There are probably some wackadoodles still up there, but I've read though, some guys that finally have realized, you know what, we're a little isolated and a little cut off from the world. Maybe we got to change our thinking. So I think things are changing, hopefully.
Yeah.
Well, good. So you grew up in Hawaii. You moved to Washington when you were about 16, and I just talked to Blair a few minutes ago. You guys are hot into the volleyball world, yeah?
Yep, very.
Now, if I remember right, didn't you meet your wife even? Didn't you meet her there?
Yep, met her in a volleyball class on campus. And I wasn't even supposed to be in that class. I just mistakenly went into the wrong class, or it was the wrong day. But my best friend was in there, and Blair was in there, so.
Fortuitous.
Made the right move. Yep, made the right move.
How do you like being a daddy?
I love it. I really do. I mean, it's not easy. And I think I understood that going in, right? My expectations were that it wasn't going to be easy. So I understood what I was getting into, and I still wanted it. I think a lot of people think it's going to kind of be easy, and they're kind of shook when they realize, oh my gosh, lack of sleep, poopy diapers, vomit on my arm, right? But I think what makes it so much fun is seeing them succeed, seeing them overcome things, teaching them things that they end up using that benefits them, even seeing them struggle. Honestly, I know that sounds weird, but I love seeing my kids struggle. I love seeing my dance students struggle, because it means they're growing, they're learning that life isn't going to be easy and that it's going to be hard, and that's okay. But that's how we overcome the challenges that are going to hit us at some time and continue to hit us, right? It's not okay, I hit 30 and I'm done with all the trials. No, it's continuously going to hit us. And if we learn at a young age that we can overcome these things, then when we hit these things in life, then we just got to figure out, okay, how do I overcome this? I've done it before. I've learned how to tie my shoe. Now, how do I get out of debt?
I always thought when I first met you and you're coming into the family, I thought you'd be a great daddy. Because I think it takes a lot of heart and a lot of spirit, and you are full of both of those. So I think your kids are going to be fantastically rewarded because you're one of their parents. So I think that's going to be great. So as we move through this interview, I don't think I have to tell you this, but I've been telling everyone this, but you are probably the least likely person to have to be told this. But I want you to be as vulnerable as you can be. This is not meant to tell everyone in our family or everyone in your family the things they already know about Kioa. That's boring. Like, even if I tell people, I'm not going to stop you from bearing your testimony, but I could predict with 85% accuracy what normal people would say in their testimony. So why don't we teach the gospel with the interview? And if necessary, we'll use those words. But I don't think it's necessary, because I think, it's going to come out in the things that you say, but I won't preface anything that you say. I'll ask you questions and lead you in the direction I want it to go. But I just want I want to encourage you. Again, you're probably the least person I have to encourage to be this way, but be vulnerable, let yourself really shine. All right, cool. Well, I appreciate you joining. It's a little bit uncomfortable, I know, but you're not the only one, because you are a nephew-in-law, but I still consider you one of my nephews. So, but you're not the only one that was like, huh? You really want to interview me? Yeah, I do, actually. So we've talked about the imperfect dad. We've talked about meeting Blair, playing volleyball, and your love of volleyball and dance. So now we're going to just kind of move into the questions, the pre-planned questions that I had for you.
Okay.
If you were just to think about the people in your life, who do you trust and depend on? The obvious first one is probably going to be Blair, but who else? Who do you trust and depend on in your life?
I think an easy one for me has been my dad. We've always had a good relationship, not let's talk for hours kind of relationship, but I think it's just that natural bond of trusting each other. And I think the biggest one was knowing that I could tell my dad anything, even like in high school, growing up, if I snuck out or if I got a girl pregnant or whatever the case may be, I knew no doubt that I could tell my dad. He wouldn't judge me, and he would we'd be trying to figure out what we need to do and proceed from that. And it was just that trust that obviously was built over many years of being raised by him. But he's definitely one person I can fully trust and be vulnerable around. Right? I'm not trying to prove anything, and I think I've gone over that bump in my life where, I'm trying to prove my dad wrong, or I'm trying to prove my dad I can be the best person I can be, or the best son. And now it's just all about being me and being the best version of me and letting him accept that. Right. But my dad and I are very similar. If you've ever met my dad, you would definitely say that, yeah, I get everything from him. The ability to talk to anyone, making friends no matter where we go, even if I don't know him or the person. I get that from my dad because my dad was that type of guy. Mm-hmm. In Hawaii, it's known as Mr. Aloha, where you talk to everyone as if it was already a best friend. And I love that part that I got from him. I think that helps us bond in a way, because we can both, especially when we're together, we'll say hello, we'll help people on the street, we'll buy people meals, because that's something we share and something I've learned from him. And because of that, I've gained that trust to, without talking, understand that he's always going to have my back no matter what.
That's very cool.
I mean, in good and bad ways, right? Like if I do something bad, he will protect me no matter what.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think I went through that somewhat with my kids. Like, would I bail them out of jail if they got arrested? I guess it depends, because I'm in my probationary period too, right? I think I would, but there have definitely been times in my life when I have thought it would be better, the lesson would be better learned if they had a chance to spend a night in jail, But then bad things happen in jail. So, well, tell me this. How have your dreams and goals changed throughout your life, or have they?
They're always changing.
Yeah.
I mean, we've all had that one thing we wanted to be as a kid growing up. And even that changed. I wanted to be an architect. I watched CSI. I wanted to be in forensics. I watched Criminal Minds. I really wanted to be in the FBI, profiling people. And then you have different events that happen in your life, right? You find someone you like a lot. You try to figure out, okay, how can they fit my family? Oh, I guess I want a family. I want kids. Okay, FBI might not work, because at least on the TV shows, they're never home. Relationships are always terrible. And I'm like, well, I don't want that in my life. I want to be there for my kids.
Right.
So it kind of just shifts. And I think you develop different passions in your life. I didn't get into dance until after high school. People think I've been dancing all my life, but I haven't. So dance kind of just...
Culturally, I would have made that assumption too. I would have thought, oh, yeah, of course he's dancing in Hawaii.
Right. But it didn't hit me till later in life. And even when I got into it, it was just a hobby. Didn't think it was something I was going to get into. When I thought about running a studio, I thought, man, there's no way a male, a father who wants their wife to be a stay-at-home mom and watch the kids, there's no way I can make it just running a studio. Most of the studios out here are run by women, and most of them are married to guys who already have pretty good jobs.
Right.
So they can do it on the side and there's no risk.
Right.
Or at least it's a low risk. Whereas in me jumping into it, it's a very high risk. It has to work or we don't eat.
Gotcha.
So it's a whole different playing game. And I actually like that my goals and my dreams have changed. And now the intensity is a little bit bigger. It's more fierce. It's more intense. Whereas in even earlier college, I was getting by. I was just trying to get my degree, hopefully get a job from there. Now I'm attacking my dreams, right? Even with 3 kids and being a husband, I'm adding so many different things to my plate. Started a business last week, a new business selling beanies and hats. I already have my podcast. I already run a studio. I have a fruit drink business I run at the farmers markets during the summer, and that makes pretty decent money. It's me trying to chase different things, right? But also trying to find the balance of chasing something new, which is being a better dad, which involves more time, being a better husband, which involves more time.
Right.
So while some people are, getting rich as of money, I'm trying to get rich off of both money and experiences and moments, with my kids, because I'm realizing they are growing up a lot faster than I thought they would. And I'm missing some things here and there, and it's tough. I mean, my oldest is already going to start playing soccer this summer, and she's already 2 dance studios, one of them including mine. It's nuts that I'm hitting that stage where kids are getting into activities, and I'm realizing time is now being taken different ways. So I'm really having to choose where I'm investing my time.
It's a challenge. I guess the thing I would encourage you to, you're already doing great, don't get me wrong, but the thing I would encourage is never lose sight of those original goals, because, you know, sometimes we think people are looking at us and they're judging us because we're not making the kind of money that they expect us to make, right? When really, in talking to your wife, I really appreciated that she was explaining your philosophy and hers that you share together, which is life is about experiences. And the money that you're making is to afford experiences, not to build the big house or, you know, or that sort of thing. So I know it's going to be hard for you, not you particularly, but it's hard for people to do their thing. Do not worry about what anybody else thinks about it. But if there's anybody who doesn't give a rear what anybody thinks, it's Kioa. That's awesome. But, by the way, it's one of the things I admire about you, actually.
No, I love it. The philosophy of, how do I make this PG? Not caring what others think. And honestly, I think if more people understood that, they could reach their full potential, right? And I'm not saying I have reached mine. I'm pretty far from it, because I was about pleasing people.
Oh yeah.
You know, as a dancer, it was about entertaining and making people enjoy it and happy. And as a business owner, is making sure everyone was happy. And once I learned that you couldn't make everyone happy, then I could actually enjoy the job, the career, the process. And the same thing with life. I don't care. A lot of kids are always like, why don't you get a different car? Like, your car is a piece of crap. And it is kind of a piece of crap. And I honestly don't care, because I'd rather put that money into taking my kids to Disney World, or
for sure,
in
yeah.
the country, right?
Yeah.
Because who remembers what cars you have in the end?
Nobody.
And later in life, I can buy the nice cars, right? But I can't buy the time that the kids are with me. And once they're out, it gets harder to enjoy the family vacations or the family time. So let me spend the money on them. Let me spoil them. Have them learn. And then when they're out of the house, if I got the money still, I can spoil ourselves, right? With the nice stuff.
I think that's a super mature, healthy way of approaching life. I just know that it's a challenge sometimes, unless you do have a real independent mindset and you can move forward without worrying about even family, you know, things. Which is why I think something like this is really helpful, because you're basically making a statement to the world. And I've done it before too, but like, I'm choosing to live this way. Hello, because we have goals in life and they're different than yours, and leave us alone. Awesome. So I asked Blair this. I want to ask you this. If I showed up tomorrow morning on your doorstep and you hadn't gone off to work or school or anything yet, and I opened a briefcase and I handed it to you, there's $1 million inside, what do you do with the money?
Well, I will let you know, I'm still going to work that day. And I've played this over in my head multiple times. If I won a lottery, or if someone handed me money, or family gave me money, I would still run my business, no doubt. I know the impact it has on kids and the community and myself. I will probably take myself a little bit more out of the picture to spend more time with the family. But since we are debt free, I mean, I could see myself probably getting a home, because we rent right now. So probably put some money into the home. I'm not into the whole per se savings thing. I mean, don't get me wrong, we do have money in savings, but I'm into the investing. and yeah, investing in, I don't know, stocks and real estate and different passive income. But I would probably put the money into building um, my studio. And I put that in parentheses because my dream wasn't just to build a studio, it was to build a performing arts ish center where kids could learn how to dance, kids could learn how to play instruments, voice lessons, acting lessons, probably put my drink business in it so my kids can work the drink business and learn how to work to pay for dance. Out here, and in most cases, parents are paying for all their dance. But if kids actually work for it, then they take dance more seriously because it's their hard-earned money, right? I don't know, put some money into joining some of these groups out here that are building these apartment complexes, so that I know that there's income coming in again. But honestly, I wouldn't stop working. And I've asked myself, will I ever stop working? When I hit retirement age, will I ever step away from it? And I don't think I would. I think I would take steps back. But for me, even running the studio, the dance studio in itself, isn't about the money. It's about building something that you can be proud of. It's providing kids with a safe space that they can be at so that they're not doing the bad things, so that they're learning how to be better people, right? Yeah, I think life is beyond money. I think it's enjoying it, right? And I think to enjoy it, you have to work for it.
Yeah.
Right? It's not just vacations all day, eat wherever I want.
Right.
I think it's being fulfilled as of accomplishing things.
You have to pay for those dreams somehow. Yeah.
Right. And just being handed money doesn't mean you're an accomplished person.
Right.
It just means you have more money than you had 5 minutes ago.
Right. Right. Good point. Now, you served a mission in Central America, right? Was it?
Yeah, I served in Guatemala.
Guatemala. What do you think the biggest lesson you learned on your mission was?
Biggest lesson I learned. There were a lot of them. Biggest one.
Like if you're speaking to all of your Wells side cousins, or actually any side of the family cousins, yeah, what is the biggest lesson that you learned that you would try to pass along to the people in your life?
I think the biggest lesson I learned is that people are human beings, and it makes me understand how much more blessed I feel to have been raised in the United States of America. Because when you go to some of these foreign places, you hear the stories of them multiple times trying to get into the US firsthand, right? You see where they live, but you see that it doesn't matter. You see that to them, family is important, relationships are important. Doing what they need to do to provide for their family is important, even if you translate it and make, some of these guys are making maybe 5, 10, 15, 20 American dollars a day. That's what they need to do to support their family. And I thought I loved people, but it wasn't until I hit Guatemala where I hated the food. When I first got there, I hated the beans they gave me. I hated it. I hated the language because I couldn't understand. I just couldn't get it. And I hated the living conditions because obviously it was third world. And it wasn't until I spoke to my mission president, about some of the issues I have, and this being one of them, was, he told me, you gotta love the people. You gotta love the people. It doesn't matter the situation you're in. You gotta love them. You're here for them. And it took me a few weeks, but then I started loving the food. I started loving the beans. I started loving the language. I started loving the living conditions. In my head, I told myself, this is going to teach me something. Yes, you're getting bit by mosquitoes 55 times a day, but you're going to learn something, and you're going to become, and the biggest one was you were going to become one of them. And it wasn't until I understood that and lived it that it made my mission so much better. Like, there was purpose. Time went by faster. I learned to love people as if they were my own family. And I think that's what makes the experience. And if you don't get to that point, then you're just reading dialogue. You're reading the script, right? You're not teaching to their needs. You're not trying to figure out what they need. It's not about you anymore. It's about them. And I think my whole life, I felt like it was always about me, trying to be the best volleyball player, trying to be the best dancer, the best boyfriend, the best teammate, the best friend, that I later had to change it to the best, or trying to be the best servant, right? Trying to serve people.
Do you have a calling in the church right now?
Yeah, I work with the Deacons Quorum.
Okay.
I think I'm called like some specialist or something, because they changed the names.
Gotcha. Okay. Interesting. You said something, now it's escaping me, but it prompted another follow-up question. Maybe it'll come back to me. If it does, I'll come back to it. What's your favorite family tradition from before you were married? Like from home with mom and dad and family?
Favorite family tradition. I know this sounds simple, and it might not even seem like it's a tradition, but I feel like a lot of families are losing it, especially LDS families. But even just having dinner together at the table, was something I enjoyed. And obviously it got harder once I got into sports. Other kids got into sports, and we're on different schedules, but it ended up just being kind of more like a Sunday thing, right? And in Hawaii, we eat out a lot. And it's not so much because we just enjoy eating out. I think it was just an easier way of making that tradition happen. Right? Pick Kioa up from practice, bring the kids. All right, let's eat at this restaurant that we all love. To a point where mom didn't have to cook because she was working as well. And we could all actually still enjoy a meal together and still talk about our days. And I think we're losing that a lot more. And even if we have the opportunity to have dinner together, and I fall victim to this, keeping my phone away from the table, right? Making sure we're all actually there mentally,
right?
So that we can connect.
You like to cook, don't you?
I do like to cook, yeah.
What's your favorite dish that you like to cook?
Favorite dish that I like to cook?
I mean, we all have favorite dishes we like to eat. What's the one that you like to make?
I love making fried rice.
Really?
There's just so many different items to actually put in, and there's so many things that you have to do while everything else is happening, that I feel more like a professional chef at a busy restaurant, because, I'm chopping up onions, I'm cooking, the rice is cooking, I got to get the soy sauce, pineapple's here, Spam is there, bacon's there, Chinese pork, barbecue pork is there, I'm chopping up, I'm adding in. Now I'm going with the wok, and everything's just happening so fast that it's very artistic. Like,
oh yeah,
yeah.
It can be. I know you're like a. I was going to say you're like me, but I'm actually more like you because you're much more creative. But I appreciate the creative arts, right? And I think that can be manifest in your cooking, in your dance, in your art, in really in the way you perform your life. It's like you're constantly on stage. So I get what you're saying there. It's a performance. And what do they call it? They call it presentation, right? When you get ready and you're gonna, So when you were on your mission, or I guess I shouldn't preface this, when did you know you wanted to go to BYU?
So I went a year before my mission.
Okay.
So I did do a year, which actually played a big part in me going on a mission.
So how did you decide to go to BYU when you were in high school?
Yeah. So in high school, the plan wasn't really to go to college ish until I had to talk with my parents, and they said they would pay for 2 years of college. And for me, that hit big because that meant I actually could afford it. So I applied to 2 schools. I was very late into applying for any school because I wasn't going to go. And then when I realized, okay, I think I'm going to try this college thing, had to take the SAT, had to take the ACT, didn't know people actually studied for those things and had classes. I just took them once and I was done. And I applied to 2 schools. I applied to Wazoo, Washington State University, and BYU, Idaho. Everyone always asks, why didn't you apply for BYU, Hawaii? Well, because I was pretty smart. I like to think I was smart. I still knew I had to pay for the other 2 or 2+ years of school. Mm. And there was no way I was going to pay to go to school of which I wasn't really going to go and probably go surfing. So I had to set myself up in a kind of a situation where I knew I wasn't going to be that distracted.
Yeah.
Someone said, hey, BYU, Idaho, it snows a lot. And I was like, sweet. I don't like the snow. So I should be indoors more studying. So Wazoo was just still a little too expensive. I found out how cheap BYU, Idaho was. I was there.
That's pretty mature for a youngster.
Yeah, money plays a big part in decision.
Yeah, I suppose it may not be about maturity, but about need, right? Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I thought when I went to BYU, I decided on my mission I was going to go to BYU Provo if I could get accepted, and I thought maybe my dad would help me pay for it, and he did he paid for my tuition the first semester, and after that he's like, you're on your own. It's like, oh crap, that it does change the way you approach things, where you live, what you eat.
Yep.
When you're going to get married, interesting. Okay. So we talked about the imperfect dad. Now, you had set a goal for yourself, and I think it was mostly to see if you could make it those first 8 episodes. And if you could make the 8, and I kind of get where you're thinking here. It's like you're going to invest what you need to, time, money, whatever, invest your soul into it. But you have to be careful about putting too much into it until you're sure it's going to go somewhere. You're going to have some followers, right? So as I understand it, tomorrow you will drop episode 13, yes?
Correct.
Okay. And how do you feel like it's going?
Honestly, the last couple episodes, I haven't focused on the numbers like I did in the beginning. Mm-hmm. But I'm enjoying it a lot more, although I'm not going to lie, I do take it a little less professional as a preparation for it. With the first couple episodes, I was spending a little more time preparing almost to a T exactly what I was going to say. But I saw how much time it was taking away from other things I could be doing, especially family time, that now I just keep it raw, as in I have the topic and I don't know what else is going to happen from there. And so raw that I don't even I haven't edited my episodes since probably episode 5 or 6. And I just say what I'm going to say. Once it ends, I just add the intro, the outro, and I put it on the platform.
I actually think that's more professional because you call it raw, but you get honesty. Joe Rogan does that. You don't see cutting in and out. I mean, he does what he does. They say what they say. There's F-bombs flying, but that's just part of it, right?
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying. And as life goes forward, maybe there will be some decisions you have to make about time and effort and whatnot, and focusing on the things that are generating whatever outcome that you want. But man, don't give up on those things. Because when I found out about the Imperfect Dad, I thought it was the coolest thing. I guess I understand why you're doing it in the format you're doing it, but I almost would like to see, you can't change your format, so don't even listen to what I'm about to say, but I almost would like to see this stuff on video.
It will happen, actually.
Okay. All right.
Because I am going to start trying to push my YouTube presence a little bit bigger. So why not hit two birds with one stone?
Yeah.
So there's a backdrop coming in later this week, and I'm just going to film exactly pretty much what I say, because in the end, the way I talk, especially with being a presenter, I'm performing on the podcast. You just can't visually see it.
No, yeah, but you're pretty good at it. I mean, you're actually really good at it. So you should capture it.
Yeah. Oh no, that's definitely in the plans, the works.
So the thing about it is, and you probably already know this, I know I'm probably preaching to the choir, but even though it may feel like, oh, I don't have the followers that I would like, or I'm not reaching the people that I want, my experience is, and yours is going to be 10 times this, sometime the right people are going to see these things. They're going to become aware of your content creation, and you're going to become of huge interest to people. So, don't give up on any of these things. Just make them as good as you can make them.
Well, it's funny you say that, because not that I'm hitting, I guess, the right people, at least as a growing stage, but I've already had so many conversations with dads about these experiences, these messages that come over Facebook and email, live conversations with fathers of the kids I teach that I didn't even think were listening to it. My volleyball friends that every time I go after a new episode, they're like, bro, I love the episode. Like, I'm trying to do that with my kids. For me, that's worth it right now. Right. Because I'm not making almost any money from it. But that wasn't the biggest objective for this. Now, I'm not, as a businessman, I'm not saying that's not the overall goal, because it always is. But having these conversations with these dads, seeing them get excited, smile about trying to improve, and understanding that, oh, I don't have to strive to be perfect. Like, I'm going to make mistakes. That's okay. Live and learn, and we keep going. We keep going through it. That's been the biggest reward for me.
Do you know who Steve Harvey is?
Yes.
Okay. Family Feud guy. And
he messed up the Philippines. This universe.
Yeah. But he's a fantastic guy. And a Christian, he has a really great story. Have you listened to his story about how he got his break?
I don't think so.
I'll tell you what, I'll send you a link, but because, and the only reason I bring it up is, the people who, and I put myself in this category, who decide early in life to do things the way everybody else does them. They work for a wage, they trade their time for money. When they're in their 50s and 60s, they're still trading their time for money, right? Versus doing it the way that you're trying to do it, and you will be successful, which is to develop your craft, right? Put it out there, be professional, develop your cadence, your delivery. And eventually, it's like Steve Harvey, eventually somebody in front of you will bomb. Like he had, I think you said he had Chris Rock bombed in front of him, and D.L. Hughley bombed in front of him. And he went on stage at the Apollo and killed. And his life since then has been what it is. But the interesting thing about it is he attributes it all to prayer. And I know you're a religious guy, but I know you're also someone who can appreciate that people from other churches are also Christians, right? Mm-hmm. And we don't have the corner on the market on really anything. So we can learn a ton of things from other people. And it's one of the things I really like about you, and I can tell this even though we've only visited probably a handful of times, but I feel like that's kind of your attitude too. Tell me.
Yeah. No, like I mentioned before, if I'm at a bus stop, for some reason, I don't think I've really been at bus stops, but if I'm ever in that kind of situation where I'm on the bus riding, or if I'm on the plane, I will talk to people, and that's weird for them, right? Because we don't live in a society where you just randomly talk to people.
Who does this guy think he is?
But for me, it's about building connections.
Yeah.
It's letting people know, hey, we can have conversations about religion, politics, where you're from, where I'm from, culture.
Mm-hmm.
And even though we don't agree, we can still respect each other.
Sure.
And I think we've lost that in this day of age. And for me, it's not, oh, I'm going to meet this person to see what I can get out of them for me in the future.
Right.
It's just to get to know people, to develop relationships, especially in this day and age of technology where, I have this many Facebook friends, or send me a DM. I think we've lost the art of connecting with people face to face. And I do that wherever I go, whether it's in the States or whether it's Costa Rica, Panama, Canada, Mexico, Puerto Rico, in different languages. I love connecting with people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually one of the reasons I'm terrible at learning languages. I don't even consider myself fluent in Spanish, but I do love learning enough of a language to somewhat hold a conversation. For example, French or Russian or Japanese, to a point where I can go to Six Flags, where I had experience, talk to this family in Russian, just conversing, and then got to the point where he thought I spoke it and I didn't, and I cut him off. But even from there, we actually had a conversation for like 20 minutes about, how he came to America and what his dreams and plans were, why he's here with the kids. And is that going to benefit me in life? Honestly, no. But it's nice to know and feel that we can connect, even though we're from different parts of the world, we speak different languages. And I just do that. I just learned that little bit to connect with people on a better scale, right? If you can get in that little bit, they will trust you. Even though you're a stranger, they will tell you things. They will share their dreams. And I think that's cool, because we hear dreams of famous people on Instagram and Facebook and TV, but everyone's got dreams. And for me, it's fun to tell them, hey, don't stop, keep going. I don't care if your dream is to become a janitor at the high school, or your dream is to be the new Elon Musk. Whatever it is, follow it. We live in the land of dreams. Do it.
Years ago, when I first started at BYU, I was a conference coordinator, youth conference coordinator. And, I had my opinions about things, but we would bring these youth in, and this is more today than it was even then. But I remember one time we brought this big stake of youth in from California, and we had the keynote speaker for their conference, she was Miss America. And I remember thinking and saying, we're making a mistake here. Not that Miss America is not great. She's beautiful. She's great. But you know what? These girls already feel inferior. They already feel like they don't measure up. And you're going to put Miss America up there? You know what? Why don't we try to find some people who are accomplishing things in spite of their challenges? Because this Miss America, even when she spoke, it was even worse, because it was all about how she had always won in life and things had always gone her way. And the whole time I was just thinking, this is like the worst thing we could put in front of these kids, right? Half of them are considering suicide already, right? So what you just said really makes sense to me. And I think it's important. Actually, I want to give you a compliment, because you probably don't even feel this, and I don't want to give you a big head or anything, but I do want you to know, you bring your attitude and energy and stuff. Like I love my nephews. I love all of them. They're great guys, and they would all be wonderful with or without Kioa. But one of the things you bring to the family, which is powerful, is you give people permission to be themselves. Which means to me that they are, because we have really cool relatives, right?
Yep.
But sometimes they're reserved, or they're quiet, or they don't let their freak flag fly, if you will. And they should, right? And I think you coming along and just showing people that it's okay to be yourself and to be, not that you're different, but you're not afraid to be different, which I think is really powerful. So I guess before we go tonight, I wanted to thank you for that, because I think it's been powerful for me. And I've watched how your addition to the family has actually changed the behavior of other nephews for the positive.
Right.
So,
yeah.
So thank you for that.
Oh, thank you.
No, it's true. Don't get a big head though, because I'll bring you back down if you do. So. Okay, so what's next for Kioa and family? What's on the horizon?
Honestly, I mean, it's pursuing what we already have in play.
Yeah.
My summers are normally, have become very busy because I teach a lot of dance. Now that I've added the fruit drink business, every weekend, I'm busy making drinks, selling drinks, setting up at farmers markets and at events. That I've changed the way I'm doing dance now. So I've told schools and places, I'm only doing dance. You can either book me Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, or any of those days. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm either selling drinks or I'm with the family.
Mm-hmm.
If there's one thing that 2020 has taught me, is that I am not taking advantage of my time with my family, especially during the summer when I have less of the studio to worry about, which has more of a structured schedule, unlike my summers. So that's what I'm doing. I'm also changing the way I do my camps, my dance camps. So I've even told the instructors, the coaches, that I'm not teaching just dance anymore. And I've already started doing this with a few of them, but we're doing leadership and motivational classes. We're doing how to perform, how to be the best you can be, and then dance, right? Because now I think we're hitting a stage where for these kids, it's not just about doing sports and dance and arts. They got to figure out how to get through high school,
right?
Get through these technology issues, I got to be Instagram perfect and this and that. And if there's one thing I hate, it's teen suicide.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I hate suicide overall, but I hate when kids act upon it because they have so much life to live. They haven't even experienced the actual hard stuff that they're going to experience. So now it's really trying to add in the motivation and understanding yourself and dance. And a lot of these coaches want that because they already know how it is. They've seen it firsthand, or they understand that, hey, yeah, my kids are struggling in that aspect as well. So now I'm actually getting booked out, even not dance, doing non-dance activities, which has blown me away. I got booked to be a motivational speaker at a dance camp, but I'm not teaching dance.
Yeah.
Slightly offended, but I love that they're seeing where the stuff I want to push out as well. So
yeah.
It's,
oh man, you shouldn't be offended by that. That's probably, and as you get older, let's face it, when you get, there'll be a certain age when they'll be like, oh my gosh, I can't, my body hurts too much.
65?
Maybe. Yeah. And then you'll be like, I'll motivational speak. That's what I'll do. So I'm curious though, I see that you have, I don't know, at least a couple of additional instructors in your organization. Right. Do you already do a psychological component? And what I mean by that is, do you do this, or do you bring someone else in to talk to the kids about life?
It's on me.
Is it?
So when it comes to my instructors at the studio, they teach. We've done a few things where I've met with them and we structure the classes to where it's not just 100% dance, at least in the beginning, we ask a question about how their day's going or favorite show or whatever the case may be, trying to figure out their names, on a first name basis kind of things. But when it comes to these motivational things and camps, it's all just me. And I'll bring in some of my youth crew dancers, some of my high school dancers that compete on my team, to help teach dances and to give input to about life, not in a way that they're teaching them, but in a way that they understand. As kids, they're on the same level.
Gotcha.
Right? This is a normal kid in my studio. He struggles mentally too with fitting in or with bullying. And it's making the kids understand that they're in it too. It's not just them. They can speak up about these things. Because if I come in and just say things, I'm coming in from a higher authority or experience level, right? But if I can bring kids that are at their level, then they can connect better and be able to express more, be more vulnerable, right? Which is kind of what we're trying to hit. It's hard to hit that barrier of, okay, I'm going to say something right now, right? But if we can get in and get them talking about it, or at least thinking about it, then I think for me, that's a win, because these kids need to be thinking about it. It's mental illness and a lot of these bullying things that's happening is huge.
Yeah.
And I think really is going under the radar. And I know I don't want to get into this, and I know people have their politics about guns and stuff like that. But for me, if we would put more money into helping kids mentally, honestly, I think we would have less issues.
The gun issue go away.
With guns, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. We completely missed the mark. Even this thing that happened recently, nobody ever addresses the mental health issues. Okay, so a couple more questions, then I'm going to turn the floor over to you, and then we'll get out of here. But the first is, when you look at your wife, Blair, how do you think she is most similar to her mother?
Well, I definitely, when I see her be a mother, I can see the motherly side, or the kindness that she shows, into wanting them to be better, and not just force feeding them or giving them everything, but having them learn. I think the patience is one of them too. Yeah, like we just had my mother and my parents in town too, and trying to see the differences. But I think when she cares for them, I can see it, because that's definitely not the way I do it. I'm more of a, I hope you learn your lesson kind of a way. Like, oh, you fell. Blair goes up. I kind of stay behind, because I want them to embrace what's happening, whether that's tears or joy.
How do you learn unless you feel the pain, right?
You hit the wall. The wall didn't hit you. But Blair will go over and not just comfort them, but help them understand what happened, without the dad saying, "You hit the wall. What were you thinking?"
Gotcha.
So yeah, no, I think I've noticed that more.
Yeah.
As of a correlation between her and her mom, which is awesome, because that's something I lack. Yeah. So it's a good balance when it comes to the marriage and parenting.
I've actually thought you two are probably the most complementary couple that I know. The most different, which means you both bring your strengths to the whole, which is really cool. I mean, your personalities are somewhat different. You have similarities too, but it's really a good match. What was the biggest surprise about Blair to your parents?
Biggest surprise.
Or what was their impression of Blair? How's that? When you first introduced her?
They loved Blair, for sure. I think they loved how I think in the beginning it was how I treated her first, that I treated her so well. Um, that I treated her like my sister, like I would treat my mom, right? And then they could see how she treated me and how much she loved me. And I think the biggest one was how much she supported me, because there's a lot to support. When you're someone like me chasing all the dreams in the world, doing this and that, you got to have the support, because in the end, it may look like I am 100% okay doing everything and this and that, but behind the scenes, I'm worried myself. I don't know if this is going to work out. And sometimes she doesn't believe it's going to work out as well, but she still supports me.
That's very cool.
And you got to have that for your son, right? Yeah. Who is a dreamer and a doer and an entrepreneur. So I think that's one thing they love. And what was huge was she didn't care about what I lacked. She liked me for me. She loved me for me. And you can see that, right? Height difference, color difference, cultural difference. Like, we are so opposite in many ways that it makes everything actually work.
Right. You both can't be laid back. One of you has to be, you guys have like the perfect combination of traits, I think. So
we try.
I mean, and that's not to say things, I don't get me wrong, I fully expect things will work out long term, but things happen. That's not to say they can't happen. They happen with lots of people. So,
well, I think the biggest thing is we understand that we're not perfect.
Yeah.
Right. And that's part of the process. It's about the journey. Yeah. Right. I even told her, which sounds bad, but I told her, hey, I'm marrying you because you're not perfect. I'm marrying you for your potential.
Yeah.
And I hope you're doing the same with me. Because obviously you didn't marry me because I was perfect, because you would be blind.
That's awesome. Okay, so then, of all the things that I've asked you and the answers you've given, what are something that you wish I would have asked? Or another way of saying that is, what is something that you want to convey to people who will see this video about Kioa or about your family that we haven't gone over? This is your time to say whatever it is you want to say.
I think we were talking about it like last night or something. I was talking to one of my good friends that I usually pull up on my Instagram lives about personal branding and how that has actually really helped me with all my businesses.
Sure.
And what I mean is, I just have a awesome tribe that believes in me, that supports me, and that's a big one. But it took time. And what stinks about these kind of things, just like running a business, is you can put years and years into a business and make one little mistake and have that all come crashing down.
Yeah.
So in building my personal brand, I try to be me. Now, with that comes a lot of mistakes. And I'm not saying I'm perfect. I've made many mistakes in the dance studio with parents or other instructors. I made mistakes in the drink business. I mean, just like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I charged this little girl like $20, $21 for 3 drinks because I did my math wrong. I really couldn't end up finding her. It should have been only $10.50, but I charged her 21. I charged her double because my math was off, and I tried to find her after, and I still have the money, right? Yeah. You're gonna make mistakes as a person, as a business owner, as a father, as a husband. But I think for me, it's just being the realest Kioa I can be. And yes, I will apologize if I make a mistake. I will come up and say I'm sorry and try to do right, because that's the person I am. But I think what a lot of people see on the outside due to social media or performances, they see the perfect part of me, right? Especially since I'm a performer and I do well presenting and performing, that they don't realize there's so many mistakes and so many things that had to happen for me to get to that point. And I think if you can see people with their imperfections too, then you can really get to know them as a person. I think we try to see people as perfect and picture that. For example, this is a perfect time to use this. When I meet people with their mask on, when anyone meets anyone with their mask on,
yeah,
you are creating a mental image of what this looks like. And in most cases, you're so wrong, right?
Yeah.
I meet girls, I meet guys, see them with their mask. I'm like, okay. Then I see them with their mask off, and I'm like, oh,
put it back on.
That is not what I thought, right? That's not what I thought. But that's fine, because they're the same person you met with the mask on or without the mask. Same person.
Sure.
You just pictured it different. So I think if people can see beyond what they just see on social media, what they just see in person, get to know people. I actually just had a coffee date or meeting with this one lady that's on this entrepreneur page, and she made a goal to have these coffee meetings with 50 people in this year of 2021. So I said, hey, yeah, let's do it. And we just talked. And at the end, she said, I asked her, so why this goal? Why did you want to do this? I mean, I love it, but why was it something you wanted to do? And she said, I don't do well talking one-on-one with people. I don't do well just meeting people. And in my head, that never registered while we were actually talking and things. But I loved it. She was pursuing a goal. I was glad to be a part of that. And because of that, I made a new friend. I made a friend I could ask her something about when it came to her business or her interest. So I think sometimes we just like to see what's on the outside, and we don't get to see the flaws, the people without the makeup on, but they're the same people. And I think if we can meet them without the makeup, then we will really get to know them, build that relationship with them, and understand what they want to do, right? What their goals are. Because I don't think their goal was to make this awesome dinner and take a picture of it, right? I think there's a lot more behind that. So,
sure.
Yeah, I think just challenging people to be the best you can be. Like you mentioned before, I'm different. And
in all the great ways.
That's a true statement. I think everyone's different. And when I tell people, hey, yeah, I'm weird, it's true, but so are they. They just don't want to say it. They don't want to show how weird they can get. In one of my episodes,
that's true.
In that episode about me, episode 10, I tell them how I eat gummy bears, what order I eat. That is so weird. And the fact that if I only have red gummy bears, I will not share it with you. I don't even share it with my wife, because that's just how weird I get, right? And it's just those little small things that I wanted to share with people so they understand, hey, he's human. Like, we're all human. We all have our quirks that make us us. Yeah. And if you are willing to share that with people and be vulnerable, I think relationships can be a lot more deeper. And the trust can be a different kind of trust that is a lot more true than just your stereotypical front kind of trust. Like, oh yeah, we're workmates, we're employees together, I trust you. But in the end, is there a true trust, or is that just a facade that you're saying?
Yeah. And yeah, we always run that risk of maybe not believing ourselves or not believing the other person. But I guess the thing I want you to, when I first met you, I was a little intimidated. Seriously, like, I know I'm like twice your size and everything, but man, you had so much going on, and you were so gregarious and everything. I just want you to know that I appreciate you being willing to do the interview tonight.
Thank you.
and I really love you. I look forward to seeing you every time you guys come to town.
Even at Walmart randomly?
Even at Walmart, even though that was uncomfortable. Even though it was uncomfortable. After I left there, I honestly thought, wow, I'm glad I ran into him, except for I wish I had taken my mask off.
You're fine.
But yeah, but that's it. So, okay, well, good. I'll get this posted. I'll make sure I get the links in there. If I have to add them, if I miss something, you can let me know. We can add links to all the cool stuff. I think this is going to be really beneficial for the family to see. And with the family reunion coming up, I'm not sure that it won't be used for some games here and there.
Yeah, I might not be there.
Well, that doesn't mean we're not going to ask questions about you.
Oh no, I hope you do. That's been a discussion, a very heated one between Blair and I, because 4th of July for me means our parade.
Wow.
I get to have a float, right? I get to have a semi-trailer with our business, which is the number one way of marketing for me has been 4th of July. But then comes the family, right?
Yeah, but you can't. Yeah, but you can't support the family unless you make those tough choices. I grew up on a dairy farm, and my goodness, I can't tell you how many times we had family get-togethers that we couldn't go to because we had to milk cows. And they could have been 2 miles away, but there's nothing we can do. We have to do something, right? So, yeah, however it works out, it'll work out. If you're not there, you'll be missed. I'm not even sure I'll be there, but if you're not there, you'll be missed. And
if I'm there, I'll still be missed. Yep.
All right, brother.
All right. Thanks.
Love you.
Love
Take
you.
it easy. Love you too.
Yep.
Bye.